Welcome to Ecclesia Principles, a biblical strategy for believers to engage in God's design for government with Ray Eppard.
Hello, glad you could join us again today. This week, we are looking at the Ecclesia principle that I call balancing self-government and centralization. Now, with this, at the heart of this is the sin nature. Now, Romans 7:17, I want to read 17 and 23. It says, "But now it is no longer I who do it, but sin that dwells in me." We've got to understand that in every human being is a sin nature. And verse 23, "I see another law in my members," he's talking about our flesh, "warring against the law of my mind and bringing me into captivity to the law of sin which is in my members." The law of sin is in our members. Now, at this point, I've focused more on the power getting into centralization, that people have more power as particularly companies and things, they get bigger because they're able to create certain efficiencies. They can make products cheaper. They can get it to you quicker. They can do all of these things. And so they've been driving the mom and pop shops out of business because, especially in economic downturn times, it's cheaper. People are trying to spread out their budget, so they make sure they go here and they don't go here. So mom and pops struggle, especially during times of economic difficulty. Now, today I want to kind of shift just a little bit, and I really want to talk about when centralization gets into self-government. And in all honesty, this is a dynamic that we need to be aware of, and it's really driving some things more than you would realize. And you say, what do you mean centralization and self-government or in individualism? Well, the founding fathers talked about what they called the tyranny of the majority. That when the majority, and this is why they were opposed to a pure democracy. See, a pure democracy is not a good thing. A pure democracy is majority rules. That's it. So, if 11 of us formed a pure democracy, then 6 of us could vote that the other 5 had to give us all their money. Pure democracy, majority rules. And that is just a very small example of the tyranny of the majority. That's why we have to have what is referred to as the rule of law. That's why we're a republic, not a democracy. Because in a republic, you have people who are representing all the people, but there is a set of laws that everyone is supposed to submit to and live by. Now, we can make a strong case for that, that's not what's happening right now. But that's really what a republic is. It comes down to the rule of law, that law is above the individual. And with that the individuals should collectively come together and make laws that are actually good for the whole. Now, with this, centralization in individualism or in self-government, the way I would describe that is a mob mentality. You see, when things happen that people don't like, there are times that a mob forms. Now, what do they end up doing usually? Well, and I'm not talking about a peaceful protest, I'm talking about a mob. A mob is where there is destruction. Property is destroyed. People are hurt. Looting takes place. People are injured or even killed, possibly. That mob mentality is when centralization moves into self-government. Now, that happens for a variety of reasons. Sometimes it can be anger over legitimate issues or problems, that the government did something they shouldn't have done. And so it angers people. But the bottom line is that mob mentality is centralization within self-government. And so at that point, they will go into a community or into a section of town, and they will start burning homes. They will start robbing stores. All of these things. Again, those are not good things. Those are bad things. And they will do that. And the thing that amazes me is so often when that happens, they're really doing it in their own neighborhood. They're destroying the property of their own people and hurting things that actually hurt their community. They make their community worse off. Why? Because at that point, through just the mob mentality, they can grab power because there's too many of them for the local police force. There's too many for just people within the community to deal with. There's too many of them. So they're able to do what they want, take what they want, do what they want, and then when it's all over, there's destruction everywhere. And at that point, again, that is driven by the sin nature. The sin nature is what drives people to do what they shouldn't do. Now, part of the reason I'm sharing this today, in contrast with the centralization we've been talking about, is because with the world population being what it is, and now you're going to say, oh, he's a conspiracy theorist. Well, you just watch and listen and tell if I'm right or if I'm wrong. But the bottom line is, with the world population being the way that it is, and economics being the way that they are right now, and we are going to get into some things about biblical economics that it's important for us to know and understand. But what we have in our society right now, especially because of centralization, more and more money is going into fewer and fewer hands. And there's this concept, and I'll use the title of the book. I haven't read the book, but I have read the synopsis of it, that it's called Barbarians at the Gates. Barbarians at the Gates. And it's a novel, it's fiction. But what it paints is a picture of the future. And that more and more wealth goes into fewer and fewer hands. That power goes into fewer and fewer hands. And you've got all the masses over here. And it's kind of an analogy of like the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire was not defeated by Greece or by Egypt or by the Babylonians or any, Great Britain didn't defeat them. No, what defeated the Roman Empire was the barbarians. Small raiding parties of barbarians coming in, raiding the towns, raiding the villages, and it got to a point there was not enough money to keep everything up, because really all that needed to be kept up was what this small group of people needed. And so at that point, and that's hence the title, Barbarians at the Gates. These barbarians ended up bringing down the Roman Empire. What a lot of the people in this circle of centralization are concerned about is the masses, the people, getting to the place that they actually become the barbarians at their gate. That all, if you've ever seen the movie series Hunger Games, you know, from these people from the outlying districts, and then the tributes got on the train, and here's all of this food. They go to a party, and one says, oh, no, I can't eat anymore. No, the other says, here, drink this. They say, well, what's this? Oh, it'll make you sick so that you get rid of the food you got so you can keep eating. And the comment's made, you know, in our district, people are starving, and here they're throwing it up just so they can eat more. You see, as a greater disparity increases because of centralization, if we do not continue to keep self-government. Self-government is the only counterbalance to centralization. We have to keep self-government. We have to keep that there. That's the only thing that can offset it. But at that point, this group over here is concerned about this mass of people becoming the barbarians at their gates, and that there will not be enough people over here to protect them. That's why this group over here cannot have any guns. Because when they become the barbarians at the gates, they want to make sure they're the only ones that's got the guns, that their guards have the guns, and so forth. So you might say, oh, that's just fictional. Well, the book is fictional, but the dynamics are real. And the dynamics are what people over here in centralization are dealing with and are thinking about. And that is why, I mean, look it up. This group over here is wanting to reduce the population. They're wanting to get rid of more and more of these people. Why? Because, number one, they don't need these people. These people add nothing to their life. As long as they got the money and everything, then they're okay. We just need to make sure these people do not get to where they have the power to mess up our lives. And so that tension between self-government and centralization, we've got to maintain that tension in order to create specialization that can continue to raise our standard of living, make life better. We need to continue to move down the path of centralization. But we need to have it counterbalanced by self-government, that no matter what power over here there is, that the people have self-government. They have the right of self-determination. They have their own individual rights. Like the Bill of Rights that our founding fathers put in, the first 10 amendments to the Constitution, those things have to stay intact. Any attempt to remove these things, to remove the Bill of Rights, every attempt to alter the Bill of Rights is an attempt to get rid of the counterbalance of self-government and allow centralization to be totally dominant. We have to understand, again, self-government is the only counterbalance to centralization. We need both. It's like the two sides of a coin. You actually need both. You can't function with just one. If you only got one, it's a problem. It's not worth anything. If you only have self-government, again, kind of a mob mentality, then you have destruction. If you have the power is centralized in a few hands, then people lose their rights, people lose their ability to choose their own life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is gone. We have to have that counterbalance. God's word shows us how to get there, but we've got to understand that there is a sin nature, and that sin nature is what is driving the negativity of both the self-government and the negativity of the centralization. The sin nature is at the heart of our problem. God bless you. Join us again tomorrow.